What's going on, Browns fans? Welcome back to the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. I am your host, Justin Harold, and today I'm bringing you a solo video. Work's been sporadic. Jeff and I have been communicating when transactions have happened, but he's been at home. I've been at home, but at different times. I'm at work. He's at work at different times. So conflicting schedules as of right now and during free agency, but still being able to communicate and talk a little bit about some of these transactions that have happened. And I haven't been able to voice out my opinion on a video yet. So felt like, a full week into free agency in a couple days now, felt like a good time to get on here and kind of just talk about the guys that we got, the positions we filled, the roles we filled, and what's still maybe missing, and maybe thoughts of just like, all right, what's this team looking at right now in terms of placement, what I'm thinking, and how I feel like they might do. But might not get into too much of that because I do want to save a lot of that for when Jeff and I talk about it. But thank you guys so much for all your support lately. If you guys are subscribing, liking, and commenting, we really do appreciate you. And if you haven't already, please do that. It really does help us out. And we really do just want to get more Cleveland fans in here. So shout out to the Cavs last night for a huge win. Isaac Okoro hitting a dagger game winner of a three, which is crazy. Him doing his thing, hitting corner threes. That's going to be the greatest quote I've ever heard. I had to say it. But back to the Browns. I'm going to share my screen here and just kind of go over some of the acquisitions that we've gotten now. I know it might be a little tough to see, and hopefully it'll work out better, but I will just read it off. So guys that we acquired: Dalvin Tomlinson, Jakeem Grant, he's still on the team. So is Deion Jones. 007, new signing. Elijah Moore, trade from the Jets to the Browns. We'll talk about that a lot more in a minute. Tristan Hill, Ethan Pocic staying, Matthew Adams from the Bears, Juan Thornhill, that's a big one that I haven't talked about yet, from the Chiefs, Maurice Hurst, Mike Ford, special teams guy from Atlanta, Josh Dobbs coming back as the backup quarterback, Jordan Atkins, former Texan teammate with Deshaun Watson, had a pretty good season with him. Jordan Kunasiak, I don't know how to say that. I believe he's another special teamer. Sione Takitaki, re-sign. Thomas Graham Jr., re-sign. AJ Green, big re-sign in my opinion. Ben Stille, re-sign. So those are all the free agent signings and re-signings that we had this offseason so far. Today is Friday, March 24th, 2023. And yeah, so a couple of those that I haven't been able to. Also, was Anthony Walker a part of that list? Why was his name not on here? I may or may. Oh no, his name is on here. It just, yeah, Anthony Walker also re-signed. I don't know why that's not filled in yet, but that is correct that he has also been re-signed. Yeah, so a couple of those signings that happened that I wasn't able to comment on. Anthony Walker, one of them. Juan Thornhill, huge. I think that's one. Did I get to comment on that? I don't think I did. I mean, that happened. Jeff and I haven't recorded since last week, so I'm going to say that hasn't happened yet. Yeah. Thwan Thornhill. I'm looking Jordan Atkins, Hurst, Hill, Walker, and Moore all happened after Jeff and I recorded. So I have 6 players to cover. I'm only really going to cover Juan Thornhill, Jordan Atkins, Walker, and Elijah Moore because the other 2 are D tackles that are I went over Hurst and Jeff went over Hill. So don't really need to talk about that too much, but the other 4 kind of big. I'm going to pull up the depth chart here in a minute, but let's start with Anthony Walker. We already know what we got with Anthony Walker. He's a leader. He's a big guy in the middle in terms of leadership in leading the defense. I haven't been too impressed with him since he came. I know that he got hurt early last season, but his first season, the defense was really bad. Second season, the defense was really bad. Him and John Johnson, I believe, have, and John Johnson's gone now, but those two were kind of brought in and had press conferences together and kind of were paired together in terms of their importance to one another. And, I think that they've both underperformed, but seeing the want and the confidence that a lot of these younger players had, Greg Newsome and others that voiced their opinion for Anthony Walker to be re-signed, that's a huge statement for him. So that's a good thing to have back in respect. So then let's move on to Jordan Atkins. A low-key signing, obviously the number 2 to Njoku. Maybe I wouldn't say the number 3 because he's got a history with Watson, and Harrison Bryant has been on a downswing since his rookie season. So Jordan Atkins, filling out that tight end position, getting a little bit depth, getting a little chemistry guy there with Watson, which, is huge going into the second season. You're going to need guys that you trust, and hopefully I think we're going to see the ball be aired out a lot more, especially when we get to our last guy. But before we get there, I think probably the biggest signing that I would say on the defensive side of the ball, Juan Thornhill. I think this is bigger than Tomlinson, mainly because we have never had really good safety play. John Johnson, Andrew Sendejo, Ronnie Harrison, a lot of guys have been, put back there, and a lot of them have been lackluster or just straight up bad with Sendejo. But Juan Thornhill, he's a winner. He's been a part of the Kansas City Chiefs for a couple years now. He's a Super Bowl champion, has a lot of experience, and hopefully that's the one thing that you get is that now you're starting to kind of feel like, oh, Schwartz has his hand in some of these guys, because you would have thought that he would have gone for his guy, Gardner Jr. from the Eagles, but they went out and got Thornhill for a reason. And I feel like you're not really thinking too much about, oh, what's the connection there? What's going on? Thornhill plays the safety position in a way that I think Schwartz likes to utilize them. It'll be interesting to see what we do with Delpit, because he's struggled in his role before, but I wonder if they look at Thornhill and maybe they swap them. I don't know if that's going to be the move. I don't know if that's what they're thinking, but Thornhill, I think he'll bring that level of play that we haven't seen at the safety position, which would be consistency of overall good play. Hopefully we don't have a lot of those situations from last year where we're having guys go like this, looking at each other, asking who was supposed to be covering whose assignment was where, what zone were they covering and whatnot. So I think that's the best signing. 3 years, 21 million. That's little stuff for a huge, experienced, winning, cultured guy who, comes from, like I said, Super Bowl champs. So they've been a very competitive team. That's a very good get for us. And then what I think has been probably the most polarizing move of the offseason so far, the Browns traded for Elijah Moore from the New York Jets, giving up the second round pick of 42 and getting a third round pick back from the Jets, and adding to their wide receiver depth and maybe adding the number 2. But this is the part where I'm going to pull up the depth chart, and I'm just going to talk about how I feel about some of these moves, specifically the Elijah Moore move. Now, I voiced my opinion on Twitter so far about what I think about the move and, why I'm not overreacting or I'm not super hyped about it. Elijah Moore was, when him and DK, or not DK, sorry, when he was coming out of Ole Miss and he was being recruited or not recruited, being scouted and everything, there was a lot of upside. He's a very speedy wide receiver and everything. Obviously, he lands in New York with Zach Wilson as his quarterback. And if you don't know my disdain for Zach Wilson, I will say that I think that Elijah Moore has a chance to be a great wide receiver here. But at the same time, we haven't had great wide receiver play. I don't know if that's because the wide receivers haven't been great. Maybe the quarterback hasn't been great. Obviously, that's a lot of conversation to be having about the past. Don't really want to get into that. I'm going to put my criticisms of giving up a second round pick for Elijah Moore and people overreacting. And, let's just remember that last year we got a number one wide receiver for a 6th round pick. I understand circumstances were different. You can say that Dallas was trying to get him out of there and they were going to take whatever they could get and whatever. But I still think you overpay a little bit with Elijah Moore on the 2nd round pick. You have defensive pieces that you still need to go and get. Look, the offense is complete. There's nothing that you can say about the offense anymore that, it should keep us in every game, just like the Kansas City Chiefs, just like the Buffalo Bills, just like the Eagles. They should be able to put up points on anyone at any time. There should be no reason this offense doesn't score upwards of 28 points a game. I mean, 24 plus, 28 plus. I mean, that's just what I'm looking at. Deshaun Watson. If you truly believe that he's going to be the top 5, top 10 quarterback that he once was, in your opinion, in what he did in Houston, then there's nothing to say about it anymore. He's a top 5, top 10 quarterback. He's supposed to get the job done. Nick Chubb, top 5 running back. Amari Cooper, top 15 wide receiver, but had a phenomenal season last year. Now, here we go. Donovan Peoples-Jones listed as the number 2 right now, but I think Elijah Moore is probably going to slip above him, mainly because he's a lot faster and a lot quicker than both Amari and Donovan Peoples-Jones. But I will say that I think that Elijah Moore is just a slightly better version of Donovan, not a slightly better version of Donovan Peoples-Jones, but a slightly better wide receiver than DPJ. So that's my only gripe. Not my only gripe, but a gripe that I have with it is that I don't think Elijah Moore will truly outshine DPJ, but it is what it is. David Njoku, Jedrick Wills. Obviously, we all know that Jedrick Wills has struggled, but when you look at the rest of the offensive line, Joel Bitonio, Ethan Pochich, Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin, James Hudson as a backup, Nick Harris as a backup. That the offense is stacked. It's stacked. And unfortunately, it's so stacked, and it's been the best part of our team for the past couple of years. But then you go and you look at your defense, and you'll figure out why we're struggling for years and years and years. Hopefully Schwartz, maybe it was the defensive coordinator. Maybe it was Joe Woods' fault. We'll have to see this season. There have been some additions. But I'm just going to read the depth chart off for what it is. Myles Garrett. Everyone knows. Top 5 pass rusher, DN, top 15 player probably. 20, 25, let's just say 25 to be safe. Jordan Elliott, not good. That's your second defensive tackle. We'll see what Schwartz is able to do. I guess you can say Winfrey is also in contention there. Maybe they put Elliott there for, years, but I don't know. Not happy with either one of those two as your backup or number 2 defensive tackle. Then you go to 007. We'll see how that works out. I said in the video about him before, there's potential, but there's also risk with him. And then you look at the linebacker position. This is my biggest contention point. This is entirely the linebacking core from last year. JOK, Anthony Walker, Taki, Jacob Phillips. I don't know why Deion Jones isn't in there, because he should be. And that's interesting because I feel like he should be in there and probably in front of Taki, which would make that linebacker room a little bit better, but not by much. We all know this linebacking room has not been good in the past. Injury prone. Obviously, all 3 starters that are listed right now were season-ending injuries. Same with Jacob Phillips. There's a lot of issue here at linebacker. I don't know if that's, linebackers have been kind of slowly being less and less important in the NFL, but I don't know. We'll have to see when we get into the season. We'll have to see if they add anyone, but not very happy with the linebacker position. Then you get into the DBs. Let's just put the safeties out of the way. Grant Delpit, Juan Thornhill. those are your starters. You know what you're going to get out of Grant. It's inconsistent play as of right now. He needs to build on the consistency. Dwan, hopefully he's better than JJ3. That's what I'll say. But then you get into the meat potatoes of the cornerback position of the DBs. Greg Newsome has verbally expressed his want to play outside corner. And this was my issue with taking Emerson last offseason and making him the outside corner now. I don't know if you trade Greg Newsome. I don't know why you'd want to trade Greg Newsome or put him in this position that now he feels like he's on the outs, or, you know, he's not playing a position that he wants. I thought you were good with, you know, Denzel, Greg, and AJ, and, you know, someone else, but the way they used Emerson, the way that they have him projected right now, I think there's going to be some problems here. You're one Denzel Ward injury away from having Emerson and Newsome be your two, and that's a good duo, but that's not going to be what pleases Newsome. I think that's something you're going to have to keep an eye on during camp. But overall, final thoughts. It's been a good offseason. Hasn't been a lot of splashes, because when we did the splashes last offseason and the season before that and the season before that, we were Super Bowl champs before ever playing a regular season game. I think this offseason has been a lot more low key. We've missed out, and it's been, you know, shown and told that we've missed out on guys because we were outbid, outstructured, whatever it may be. However, I still really think we went out and got some quality pieces, guys that really fit roles on this team, and hopefully, you know, guys that were picked by, you know, new coordinators, the special teams coordinator, Bubba and Schwartz. So it'll be an interesting season, but for now, thank you all for making it through the end of this video. I know it was a longer one with me, but thank you. Make sure you're subscribing, liking, leaving a comment. And with that all being said, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.